Let's face it, when it comes to customer satisfaction, I don't think Fanatec's going to be winning any awards anytime soon. Whether it's quality control, customer support nightmares, or shipping delays, they've got quite a reputation in the industry at the moment. Now, I've been lucky. Despite all the horror stories, my Fanatec gear has arrived safe and sound, even the second-hand ones I purchased on eBay. But there has been one small issue that ever since I purchased my gear has been driving me insane. The QR1, especially the cheaper plastic version, has a bit of slip between the wheel and the wheelbase, causing a loud clunking noise and sometimes a loss of information from the force feedback itself. It's not exactly confidence inspiring when you're chasing down lap times or sending it through a jungle in a rally car. Now sure, I could slap some electrical tape on the shaft like I've done before, but let's be real, should I be resorting to DIY hacks on a premium product like this? And then you're also probably thinking, why not just buy the QR2 upgrade kit from Fanatec directly? Well, here is exactly where the issues start piling up. The first up being the price. Now the products I'm going to show you today have undercut Fanatec's pricing without compromising on any quality at all. And not to mention you get to avoid all of the shipping and duties and taxes and all the other mumbo jumbo that you'd have to pay to import goods into the UK. Next, with Fanatec not exactly having the most amazing quality control on their products, is it worth paying all the extra money to buy from Fanatec directly just to get a product that has some slight flaws or manufacturing tolerances that they always use and just get around with? And lastly, will the products even arrive? Like some of the horror stories you heard from earlier, it's always a gamble ordering from Fanatec, as their shipping doesn't seem to be the most solid, and when you try to contact someone about your order, you're either faced with a blank wall, some mumbo jumbo email, or just a useless AI chat robot. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have found your answer that you've been looking for, and that is from the guys over at Simube. I purchased a base side QR2 for my CSL DD and 2 of their QR2 wheel side attachments, and who'd have thought, just a little over 100 quid and 2 weeks exactly on the dot later, the products arrived on my doorstep. So let's cut all the waiting around and let's go and unbox these goodies. So yeah, as mentioned before, you can see the 2 QR2s and 1 base side QR2. All were shipped in a nice plain cardboard box. There was no branding or anything outlandish on the outer packaging itself. All products come with a clear and concise instructions to follow on the back of the packaging that any simple-minded human really can follow along with it easily. Packages have this nice and easy peel to get access to the box, so it's not like you're trying to open Pandora's box or anything, just a simple pull tab, which I can really appreciate from companies doing this. So inside we have our lovely QR2 for my CSL DD. So this is the standard length which they offer, which is almost the same in length as the original QR1 from the Fanatec base itself. Now Simube claims that it features an all aluminium construction, and I have no way to verify this claim, but I can tell you just from picking it up, it is very solid and weighty, so it will feel very robust and durable when attached to the wheelbase. On one side, just a simple USB connection, as that's how newer wheelbases are attached, and on top of the QR you can see a nice painted S, so it also fits my branding and looks pretty cool. Also provided is a 2-side wheel clamp to provide even more robustness, and every sim racer's favorite toolkit, an Allen key. Now, I will say before we proceed with the installation, I'd recommend you to get a torque wrench, as we will be dealing with stuff which require a precise amount of force in order to maintain rigidity. So you can pick these up at your local hardware stores or somewhere like Amazon. Now let's get into the wheel side QR2s, and just the same with the base side, instructions are on the back of the packaging and just a simple pull tab opens the box. Inside is our lovely QR2 for our wheels, and these again, just like the base side, boast an all aluminium construction. Unlike Fanatec's cheapest option for QR2, which is half plastic and half aluminium, this definitely beats it in terms of rigidity. The simple QR2 mechanism which works nice and smooth, and again the product has a nice weight and heft to it, ensuring you're securely connected to your wheelbase. Alongside the QR2 inside the box is a small bag of screws, some more Allen keys as if sim racers didn't have enough of these already, and a washer type bracket to sit on our wheels. Now let's begin attaching the QR2 to the base. So first we have to take off the factory clamp, which is done by just 1 screw. Once the clamp is free, I recommend putting your base on its back and slowly prying out the old QR1 from the base. And as I mentioned earlier, here's a side-by-side comparison of the factory QR1 from Fanatec compared to Simube's QR2, which is almost identical in size, just a couple centimeters shorter in length. Now with the double-sided clamp loosely attached to your base, it's time to slowly, and I mean slowly, fit the new QR2 to your base. Please be extremely careful with this, as your base is connecting to it with a simple USB-C connection. So too much force could damage the connection and cause instability. Once that's done, it's time to start fastening up the clamp, but not before you give it a slight lift. You want to just bring it to the edge of the wheelbase itself, but not on top of the actual shaft itself. So basically just on the end of the shaft where the tip of the wheelbase basically meet. So give it a slight lift, then start tightening each side 2 Newton meters at a time until both sides reach a total force of 8 Newton meters. Okay, and with that, you can finally take one big deep breath as we're done with the base now. So let's move on to the wheels. For this purpose, I've used my CSL P1 wheel as it's a relatively easy installation. Start by taking off your factory QR from your wheel, and once that's done, be very careful lifting it up and off of your wheel, as you don't want to damage any of the pins in the wheel and cause any disruptions while you're using it. With the QR1 off your base, you can finally throw it in the bin and take a big sigh of relief. No, I'm only kidding, you can do what you want with it. Now, it's a pretty simple installation as we just take out the bolts from the middle washer, but instead of using the bolts from the bag, we are reusing the same bolts as they're a longer length and this wheel needs a longer bolt to go through the middle. Now we put the new washer on top, and when you're tightening it, the box says 1 Newton meter, but I just say don't follow that. Don't be a melon and hand tighten it to a reasonable level. With the new washer attached, it's a simple matter of putting on the new QR2 and using the same bolts that your Fanatec QR was held down with originally. Now, due to the weird angle, it might be a little finicky as this process alone probably took me around 600 years to do, as you can't get a good angle to tighten the bolts all the way, so you have to toss and turn the wheel just to tighten it just a few times. But once you're done with it, you should have a nice flush finish on the wheel and a very solid and weighty compared to the QR1 quick release on the wheel. And you can do a little test fit by attaching it to your wheelbase. Now, I will leave a very fast and sped up recording of me changing the QR on my Formula wheel, as it pretty much is the same process. However, for the bolts on the washer in the middle, you'll be using the new ones from the bag from the Simube products, rather than using the ones that the Fanatec originally had installed. So yeah, pretty much the same process, just use the bolts from the bag, not the ones that were originally on the wheel. Everything else is the same. So to draw out this video, a quick summary of the Simube QR2 Upgrade kit. To be honest with you, I can't really compare this to what I had on before. Genuinely, it's night and day in terms of the feeling and the response I get from the wheel now. With my original QRs on the wheel and the wheelbase, I always told myself to just be a bit careful of how much pressure I put, especially on the plastic QR, as I didn't want to end up with a Reddit horror story myself. But with the new Simube QR2s installed, I have restored so much faith and confidence in the wheelbase and the QR2 clamp that I can really put all my forces onto the wheel and the shaft of the wheelbase and not have any consequences to worry about. Now, I'll be honest, it doesn't have the most satisfying clamp noise, so ASMR enjoyers, I apologize. This isn't going to fulfill that fantasy for you. But what you trade in for satisfying clamp noise, you get back in absolute solid rock rigidity. Now, the same test I did earlier with the Fanatec plastic QR1, I did with the QR2 installed on my circular rim, and here's how it sounds. There is absolutely no play between the clamp and the shaft, and I can feel the full weight transferring of the car through the wheelbase. And as another test, I jumped in a GTP at Sebring on iRacing and absolutely went full send around some of the corners. And again, nothing. Not a centimeter of play, and even over the 3D curbs, I felt every single bump of the car. These are an absolute game changer for me, and I'll definitely recommend these to anyone that's still on the original QR1 from Fanatec. Just before you go, if you do enjoy sim racing and sim racing content, please consider hitting the subscribe button. If you found any information in the video useful, I'd appreciate you dropping a like on the video. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Peace.